Hello, welcome to another episode of the Showboys podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm joined with my good friend, uh, comic book enthusiast, and Adam West Batman shirt wearing buddy Jordan. How you doing, man?
Good, good. How you doing? How'd you know
Not
it was?
bad.
Oh, I guess you could see it. You could see the ears. Okay.
Yeah. And when you were standing up earlier, showing me that you weren't wearing pants, I was able
Oh,
to
then
see. Yeah.
yeah, you're like obviously an Adam West enthusiast.
Yeah.
It's the number one sign.
Yeah. Just have the like bat spandex on. No pain.
Just the
Anyways,
belt.
yeah. Yes. But yes, we're here. Nick's out vacationing somewhere in the wilderness. Chad, I don't know. I lost Chad. We lost track of Chad. So it's Jordan and I tonight. It's gonna be a fun episode. We're gonna talk about season 3 of The Boys. Before we get into anything, we need to thank our lovely top tier patrons, Tim B, Yusuf H, and a brand new top tier patron, Joe C. Thank you. We means the world to us. All of our other patrons, we love you just as much, but we love them a little more because they give us more money. You can always buy our love by checking out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/showboys podcast. It's a good way for you to just help support us and help us be able to continue to bring you the best quality content we can. Um, all the proceeds that we get from our Patreon just gets dumped right back into the podcast. Um, so go check it out. We have different perks and benefits for each tier, including exclusive episodes only available to our patrons. So check it out, patreon.com/showboys podcast. Thank you guys. Um, this week we're gonna we kind of did this last week at the top of the episode. Um, but this will be our official like debut of our newscast segment. So if you weren't aware, we had ran a separate podcast series called our newscast. It was an every other week show on Monday nights, and I don't know, we were up to like close to 40 episodes or so of that. But basically, we would just bring you news and rumors in the film and gaming industry. Um, we decided to kind of merge that into our Thursday night show. So I came with a little piece of news from San Diego Comic-Con. Jordan came with a little piece of news from San Diego Comic-Con. And yeah, we're going to go through that first, and we'll get into the Boys Season 3 breakdown. But yeah, Comic-Con happened last weekend.
It did.
And there's quite a bit of news on new releases for shows and movies, and of course all the crazy Marvel stuff. But the article I'm bringing tonight is, I wouldn't say like completely shocked me, but I was surprised that this was announced already. Um, but yeah, we got an announcement that the Wheel of Time has been renewed for season 3. Um, as of now, there's only one season on Amazon Prime. It's a Prime original, high fantasy series. It was once described as Lord of the Rings meets Game of Thrones. However, I watched the series and it does not live up to either of those. Like not even close. I would say mediocre at best. I did watch the entire first season just because I was invested. After like 3 episodes, I'm like, all right, I've already watched 3 episodes. I might as well just finish. Um, yeah, season 2 is not out yet. We're expecting it to be, released on Prime maybe later next year, but there's no official date even on season 2, which is why this kind of shocked me that they would already announce the renewal of season 3. But the announcement was made by Rafe Judkins, who's the executive producer. And he announced this in a Prime Video press release on the 21st during a panel focusing on an animated companion series called The Wheel of Time Origins. This I actually think is pretty cool. So this companion series here, Origins, originally was going to function as an X-ray feature on Prime. Do you watch much Prime Video stuff? I mean, I know The Boys is on Prime, but have you used Prime Video for much of anything, Jordan?
Just really The Boys, a little bit of Invincible. Trying to think. There's got to be more. Random movies every now and then.
Have you ever like paused and used this X-ray feature, or do you know what I'm
No,
even talking
I
about?
don't even know what that is.
Okay, so if you're watching anything on Prime, next time you do, pause it, and your normal like time bar of the episode length and your position in the episode or whatever pops up. But also, what shows up, whatever actor is in the scene that you paused on, their like actor card, I guess is what I'll
Okay.
call it, like shows up on the side of the screen. You can go over and like click on it, and like different shows provide different amounts of information or whatever. So that's kind of the X-ray feature in a very loose description. But basically, you can pause at any point in the show and be given additional information on who's in the scene, what characters they are, blah blah
Interesting.
blah. So
Okay.
this companion series was originally intended to be an X-ray feature for Wheel of Time, and it may have been already, but they're expanding upon that and releasing a 6-episode animated companion series. However, these episodes are only like 3 minutes long, but if you've watched any of the Game of Thrones lore videos that you hear Chad and Nick talk about in our Game of Thrones episodes,
Yeah.
it sounds very similar to that, where it's digging in deep to the lore that's not exactly explained in the show itself. Just takes you one step deeper into the universe, which I thought is pretty cool. I always love going deeper. I don't know. I kind of wish the show itself was just a little deeper, but yeah. Be on the lookout for the Wheel of Time Origins animated companion series, but also, be on the lookout for season 2 and eventually season 3. The other article that I was debating on talking about was the trailer drop for the Dungeons and Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves. Did you happen to see this trailer at all?
I did, and that was my biggest disappointment. I'm like, I wonder what class everybody is, and then we realized that they're all thieves. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, not much variety.
There's a little bit of subclasses happening. You can tell, but it's they're all part of the Thieves Guild.
I will say I was pleasantly surprised, because when this was announced and we had reported on this on the newscast quite a few times, I was just dumbfounded. Honestly, I was like, how are they gonna do this?
Right.
Like, what are they gonna do? But it looks kind of fun. It kind of looks like it doesn't take itself too seriously. But yeah, the trailer was interesting.
It's very much so Guardians of the Galaxy in the fantasy realm, right? It's very obvious that they even have like the main actor is named Chris.
Yeah, Chris Pine. He play. I think he's like the bard or something, because at the end he's like playing his little lute or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and the other shocking news from this trailer is this is hitting theaters in March.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Wow.
Right. Yeah. So we're just a few short months, maybe like 6 months out from this hitting theaters already. So. Yeah, that's what interested me at San Diego Comic-Con. What did you find interesting, Jordan?
The article I wanted to talk about tonight, which obviously San Diego Comic-Con has an array of things that I'm interested in. Black Adam, the trailer was really, really dynamite. Shazam 2, it's everything.
Super Pets? No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I'm excited for Super Pets.
It kind of looks funny, not gonna lie.
It'll be funny. I think it'll be good. Ant-Man the Wasp little tidbit was decent. I'm trying to think. The Wakanda Forever looks pretty good. I'm not sold on the Namor idea yet. Anyway, the whole idea that the article I was bringing was kind of an underlying article that gained steam a little bit more after SDCC ended. But the particular article is actually on theMarySue.com, and it's Kevin Feige mentioning that the next time that we see Spider-Man, he's going to be a street level superhero. This is major for coming along with the announcement of Daredevil, a new season of Daredevil.
18 episodes, by the way.
18 episodes. Yeah,
Massive.
Absolutely. It's gonna. I mean, it's gotta be some kind of record. It's he's obviously showing up in She-Hulk. So the idea of bringing Spider-Man back to the street level is something I've wanted to happen, and it's having Daredevil and Spider-Man in New York City. New York City is a staple for Marvel Comics. It's just like Gotham is in DC Comics. And so there's a whole array of stories you could put there. There's tons of heroes that live around there, and they grew out of that quick after the first Avengers, right? Doctor Strange is there, obviously. So what this can do is it can bring us closer to kind of the limelight of what was in Spider-Man the animated series in the 90s. You get Punisher running around New York, Kraven's there. I mean, all of Spider-Man's villains end up there. Daredevil, obviously, She-Hulk could be there. The crossovers are so much more fun because they don't have to be some like world-ending event, and you can have some of the most fun and serious battles all together. There's Halloween specials with Spider-Man in New York that include like Moon Knight sometimes, and just tons of different angles you can go with this. And it's a sign that the MCU is diversifying itself. You're going to have kind of the cosmic thing going on, and going off there with what Kang and the multiverse is going to do, and then you're going to have a ground level MCU happening in New York, maybe a few other places. Maybe we get to see Iron Fist come back. Definitely Punisher. It's a lot of excitement, and it's I think this diversifying it like this, they're doing it because they don't want all their eggs to continue to be in one basket, especially as they roll out more TV shows and movies in parallel. So it's exciting. It's definitely exciting for me because it's the one thing in the MCU I'm probably more excited about that I'm actually excited about these days. So
yeah, and this is something Chad's been salivating over happening for quite some time. Man, it's just I think we kind of touched on it in the Falcon and Winter Soldier companion series we did, where we kind of theorized maybe Sam and Bucky would be like the global team to
right.
keep the language the same between Spider-Man and Daredevil here. But yeah, you're like, not every threat is going to be cosmic of nature and like universe ending, potentially. There's still going to be global terrorists. There's still going to be like street level, crime bosses,
Rhinos run down the street, the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it'll be cool to see. It'll be really fun to see like Spider-Man end up fighting the Kingpin at one point too, because the comics or even the animated cartoon, the Kingpin has no problem just power bombing Spider-Man right to the floor. Right, he has this unseen, unnatural strength.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be cool. Blade can show up. I'm so excited for the idea of having like a remix of the animated series, having Morbius being chased by Blade through New York, and Spider-Man and Daredevil are like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And it's just chaos and fun. It's great stuff.
Yeah. Exciting news for sure. One that might slip under the radar too. Biosiv says, oh goodness, just the two of you tonight? You bet, buddy. We're gonna have a good old time. It's not just the two of us now. You're here. It's the three best friends. So there you go. The new news segment. We'll be trying to do this each week as it makes sense, and we'll each bring a little piece of news or a spicy rumor to you guys, and then have a little chats about it. But yeah, moving on, let's get to the topic at hand, and that is The Boys season 3. We're a couple weeks late to the party, but that's okay because we're letting it marinate. Plus, I literally just finished it last night, so
That
I'm sorry.
helps.
Yeah, you can blame Chad for being a Game of Thrones slaver over there, just forcing me to watch so much Game of Thrones. Yes, we did our Answer the Boys topic of the week, asking you what you thought of season 3, and didn't get many replies, but we're gonna go through them anyways. Joe says, Ugly Kid Joe Cross says, watched the first 4 minutes of the first episode and decided it was too vulgar for me. I may have to sit this one out. Yeah, it's definitely one of those shows. I wonder if he's just talking about the first 4 minutes of the first episode of the series. Because man, the first 10 minutes of season 3 it's literally insane. Yeah. Underfunded Scientist says, "Woo, Jordan, let's go." Yeah, that's the answer to the boys. We didn't have many replies. You guys are gonna have to do a little better next time. Public shame, it always works. But yeah, so what I thought we would do is we have 8 episodes in total. I thought we could just go episode by episode, look at a little summary, and talk about all the major happenings in each episode, and afterwards we can reflect on what we went through, what is arguably, in my opinion, the most insane season of the series this far, and what we might expect to happen in season 4 coming up. Biosif says, first 10 minutes of season 3, freaking crazy. Very much so. Very much so. So
I've learned to actually not eat during the premiere of any episode, not only the finale or the premiere or finale. But,
yes. Yeah. Is that due to the grossness, or like because you might spit your food out laughing?
It's kind of the grossness. I'm not exactly honestly. There's 2 things I don't eat food. Like normally, like Kelly and I, like on like a Friday night, we'll put on, if I'll pick up dinner on the way home or something, and then we'll watch like Supernatural or something like that,
mm-hmm.
And which a really good show. I still haven't finished it yet, but I'm pushing through it. There's just like if watching like a horror movie, like my adrenaline gets going, and I don't like eating food during that, and then I also don't like eating food during exploding penises, but it's or people, right? And I'll never forget. I was eating pad thai at the at the beginning of this season, episode 1. I won't forget. But, yeah.
Hashtag never forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just pull a termite and dive right in. Yeah. So the first episode of season 3 is titled Payback. 1 year after the Stormfront scandal, the boys work as contractors for Victoria Newman's Bureau of Superhero Affairs to apprehend rogue supes, with Huey Campbell as their liaison. Stan Edgar appoints Annie January, aka Starlight, who is now publicly dating Huey, co-captain of the Seven, to repair Vought International's reputation and unsuccessfully attempts to sell V-24, a compound V variant that temporarily grants superpowers to U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Singer. Queen Maeve secretly works with Billy Butcher and has him investigate Payback, a disbanded superhero team whose leader, Soldier Boy, mysteriously died, in hopes of finding a weapon capable of killing Homelander. She also gives Billy Butcher several vials of V-24, which he considers using. Huey encounters a man named Tony, who claims to be Newman's best friend and calls her Nadia. Suspicious, Huey follows the pair into an alley, where Tony urges her to tell the truth about Red River. She refuses, prompting Tony to retaliate before she kills him with her powers, unaware of Huey's presence. Yeah, so one thing left out of this summary is the first 10 minutes of the very first episode, in which we see the most shocking scene of the series in whole, literally in whole. We start out with
Please explain it.
Frenchie and Kamiko trailing a rogue soup named Termite, who has the power to shrink down, very much so like Ant-Man. Funnily enough, you're introduced to Termite as he's railing a Barbie action figure in a play dollhouse, which was very disturbing. But yes, Kamiko and Frenchie making their way through the party. Termite ends up in the back room with his boyfriend, doing copious amounts of cocaine. And so Termite uses his superpowers to enter his boyfriend's Johnson, and while inside, he has the most unfortunately timed sneeze in maybe the history of the Earth, and retransforms into normal size, therefore exploding his boyfriend's body in half. And yeah, then the title card comes. And
Right.
it's like, wow, okay, so that's what we're doing this season, huh? Most shocking thing I think I've may have seen in a TV series.
Yeah, I think that and honestly, the Huey's girlfriend's death in season 1 was really shocking to me. I was just
True.
like, what just happened? And this time I was like, what just happened?
Well, there's like different levels of what just happened.
Yeah.
It was like, first he plops it out, and I'm like, what is happening? And then Termite goes in, and I'm like, what is happening?
Scaling the walls like he's in some kind of rap video. Just sliding his hands down the wall.
Oh man, yeah. And then he sneezes, and that happens, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It was insane. What a way to kick off the season, though. And honestly, the season doesn't really slow down much from there. It's just kind of pedal to the floor. But I think big takeaways here. At the end of season 2, Huey kind of like wants to go clean, and we see that storyline pick up here in the first episode, where he's working for the Bureau of Superhero Affairs under Victoria Newman, who at this point in time nobody knows is the head popper.
Is hot. I'm just kidding.
Yes, takes that name to a whole nother level. But
Jesus.
yeah, they are unaware that she is in fact a soup, and really she, they're tracking down these rogue heroes and taking care of them the correct way, the legal way, bringing them in, detaining them, which is painful for Butcher, who is also working with Huey and Victoria. He has to do these things by the book, and you can tell that it pains him to his very core. And in this, the Tony friend that comes in towards the end of the episode, we can just kind of stick with this arc through the first episode. He comes in asking for a Nadia, which spikes Huey's curiosity into who Victoria really is. And what did you think of that whole the ending here of the first episode, where Huey follows them out into the alley, and they have that conversation about Red River, and Victoria being like, you can't like come in and call me Nadia anymore. I'm not Nadia, I'm Victoria now, and the whole head popping scene.
Well, we realize she's not just a head popper; she's just a popper, and that was kind of. I thought it was something that was like a cerebral thing that made their head explode. But she just like looked at his hand. His hand was like boom, like like it's been the chunk of his face, and
and he's just like gargling.
Yeah, that sucked. You actually felt kind of bad for him there. I felt pretty bad for him, but yeah, I probably felt not as I felt somewhere in between grossed out and Huey. When Huey was like behind the dumpster, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It,
What just happened?
Right. Yeah, you can tell that she's obviously gone. Like she's almost like Soldier Boy, who obviously went rogue because he's betrayed a little bit. She's been rogue this whole time with that entire group and just trying to, she has her own agenda. She's moving forward with it. And there's two kind of alphas coming out of the whole payback situation, and it's obvious who that is by the end of the season. But I was again. I was like, "What's going on?" When his hand exploded, when his face exploded. And it's
just basically episode 1 is just a lot of exploding people.
Mm-hmm. Or collapsing faces. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to note here is, afterwards she jumps on the phone. She's like, "Hey, basically, I need to clean up on the back alley. It happened again." So you kind of. We learned that she has connections somewhere. She's not just a like rogue villainous body popper just out to cause chaos.
Right. You think it'd be the government, but like she's kind of secretive from them, right? Like it's not the company or it's I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah. So it definitely sets up a good kind of like subplot throughout the season here that ends up actually turning into being something very important later on down the road. But another super important thing that we find out here is the V24 compound. Basically, we're introduced to this Stan Edgar having a conversation with the Secretary of Defense Robert Singer at Vought, pitching, with his sales pitch for V24, the temporary V. Basically, he's like, "Hey, look, you guys buy this, give it to your soldiers. It's temporary. The effects dissipate within like after 24 hours or so. We're not creating permanent superheroes, but you can get that boost." And is basically lording this over the government's head. Asks for some outrageous cost of like $6 million per vial or something. And basically Singer's telling him after Stormfront, like Vought is in the garbage can. There's nothing publicly that, can save Vought, and that makes B24 not that enticing.
Fun fact, Robert Singer, and he's the same actor who plays Bob Singer in Supernatural. So he's
really
Robert and Bob Singer in Supernatural also.
No
and
way.
Soldier Boy is obviously Dean.
Yeah.
And Winchester in Supernatural. So same writers from the show supposedly. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's the same name and same actor came right over.
That's hilarious. Biosif says, thus far the gore hasn't gotten me. Exploding pelvis. Yes, very much so. The only thing that got me worse than this was the Terminus tub throat slit scene in The Walking Dead. I don't think I made it that far in that series. Yeah.
I always tell people to watch Walking Dead up till Rick leaves.
Yeah. I could support that.
The throat slitting scene's pretty. You actually get to see the Penguin from Gotham get his throat slit. So if you hate the actor, check it out.
Nice.
He's a very fine guy. That was bad, but he does get his throat slit. So.
He is. I like that actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, you have Singer kind of standing up to Edgar, which doesn't happen very often, and you can tell by Edgar's reaction here. Starlight gets promoted to co-captain of the Seven, which is a very important story thread throughout the season here, much to Homelander's chagrin. But again, Edgar, being the power player that he is, has complete control and dominance over Homelander, just basically flaunting the ratings and Homelander's popularity. And as we know, Homelander is very insecure, always fighting for approval and love, and Edgar's kind of got him wrapped around his finger here. Uh, so what was your take on this promotion for Starlight? Like, I immediately was like, this is not good. Starlight is I mean, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones, so basically every main character dies all the time. So I'm like, Starlight's gonna die.
Well, she's just a few notches more powerful than Jubilee in the X-Men, right? So she can't do a whole lot, much more against Homelander. Obviously, if Homelander 1 and 2, she's dead. Yeah, she has plot armor. The Boys comic book, there's a lot of deaths in the Boys comic book, and the popularity of the show, I think, especially with this season, has modified the writing to not kill as many people because they're pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a detriment to the show because I think it takes away some of the awe factor. But I felt like she had some pretty solid plot armor, and so I wasn't too scared for her. But I'm not a huge fan of Starlight, honestly. There's something about that the character. I liked her in the other seasons. This season, I just didn't click. She's not shining so bright for me. But it's
not shining so bright.
I guess it wasn't right here. It was more towards the middle of the season where I was just like, okay, kill her now. So it wasn't just yet, but I wasn't scared for it.
Yeah. What do you think about Stan Edgar's power over Homelander up to this point? I mean, to me, it's pretty shocking because Homelander is, he's like the most powerful superhero on Earth that we know of.
Right.
And the fact that this powerless CEO can bend Homelander's will at his whim.
There's a pivotal point in the comic book where that leads Homelander to meeting his demise, and the way that they're bending things and moving things around, it makes me wonder if Edgar is going to be the person that happens with. Homelander eventually snaps, and it's game over for everybody he meets, and there's a big reveal there with like Black Noir and everything. They're going a different way than this. It seems to be anyway in the comic book, which is good. I like how the Walking Dead they made an amalgam of all the different characters in Walking Dead, made injuries happen to different people, other deaths happen to different people, kept some people alive. Carol. They're doing the same thing in this show, which is a great tactic. It keeps readers on their toes a little bit, keeps a little more interested, stops spoilers from being way ahead. But I'm starting to see different parallels that led to major comic points. It's like when you watch Walking Dead, if you read the comic books, you knew there was no just way to kill Glenn other than beating his head in with a baseball bat, right? That was one of the most like powerful deaths in the comic books, and you just wonder how it's going to happen. Well, they recreated it, obviously. They completely recreated it. But some of these events, I think, are so pivotal to the comics and like impact that you have to do it in the show too, which one way or the other. So it's
yeah. The breaking down of Homelander's mental state that happens throughout the season is truly terrifying, and like how the season ends, like he now believes he can do whatever he wants, and that is scary.
Right.
Because what was holding him back and then basically keeping everyone safe no longer works anymore.
2% milk.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. But yeah, basically that's kind of like other than Maeve and Butcher, Maeve giving Butcher the temporary V, and the reveal of I mean, in more ways than one, that happens this season. Wow. Jordan just had to go there. A very foreshadowing of a few episodes down the road. But yeah, other than that, and the reveal of this soldier boy and this possible weapon that could take down Homelander, not much else happens in episode 1. I will say that the termite scene is kind of like a callback or a recognition of, you know, the fan theory floating around about Ant-Man. Why didn't Ant-Man just shrink down and like crawl up
Right.
Thanos' butt and then explode him?
Right.
There, you got it. It was just
Right.
not what you expected, I guess. Yeah, so moving on to episode 2, The Only Man in the Sky. As the boys investigate Soldier Boy's death, Huey visits Red River, an orphanage for superpowered children, and copies its record, learning that Newman is Edgar's adopted daughter. Frenchie and Kamiko confront Soldier Boy's widow, Crimson Countess, at the Vought theme park, but she escapes and mistakenly kills an innocent in the process. After learning of Newman's powers from Huey, Butcher takes a dose of V24 and uses it to kill Soldier Boy's former sidekick, Gunpowder. Before dying, Gunpowder informs Butcher that Soldier Boy died in Nicaragua while on a CIA mission led by Colonel Grace Mallory. Mother's Milk rejoins the boys, seeking to avenge his family's death at Soldier Boy's hands. After learning that Stormfront committed suicide, Homelander melts down during his televised birthday celebration and goes on a spiteful rant where he suggests he is the world's savior under persecution from Vought executives. So yeah, we totally glazed over the Stormfront being in a coma, like in Homelander's tower, penthouse room, or whatever. That whole extremely disturbing scene.
Yeah, disturbing
and
indeed. Like a Darth Vader after
oh gosh, yeah,
recovers a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
But yeah, so she kills herself by biting off her tongue or something, and like, yeah, drowning herself, basically choking to death. This sends Homelander over the edge. Which, by the way, I loved all the like media interactions of Homelander being like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a guy like everyone else, made a mistake," you know. Yeah. Like that whole montage was hilarious and like really cracked me up. You could just see he's just like dead in the eyes, like every time he says it. But yeah, so again, you know, Newman is more than we were originally led to believe, and this time we figure out that her secret ties are with the one and only Stan Edgar, and not only are they secret ties, but you know, he adopted her, which is pretty crazy. Again, this comes into play later on in the season, but this was kind of a bombshell for me. What did you think about this reveal?
You know, it made sense. It made sense to consolidate the story a little bit. There's a lot of things happening, so it was, you know, it wasn't like, oh my god! I remember looking at Kelly and we're both like, oh, okay. You know, it consolidates the parallels, and it shows why they're, you know, at the same type of level, both in the, you know, politically and also in the corporate ladder. You tell them they're where they need to be.
Yeah, and I think this is where this is the episode where Huey kind of, I don't want to say like stands up to Starlight because that's not the right word, but in his mind he like stands up to her because he feels lesser than and not, I guess, not manly in a way. Maybe this is the social commentary of like toxic masculinity, you know, like, oh, the man has to always protect the woman or whatever. And obviously Huey can't do that because Starlight is a superhero. What's he going to do to protect a superhero? She's always protecting him. And that has been wearing on him mentally, apparently.
I think he's just scared of always having to be the damsel in distress. Like he wants to be able to take care of himself if he needs to.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, she's. I just jump in her arms and be like, "Get him!"
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. There's shame.
Exactly. But here, his trip to the orphanage, I think they were planning on going together, and Huey just goes by himself. And when Starlight figures out, she's kind of pissed about it, and this causes a little rift in their relationship that just grows and grows throughout the season. Again, another story arc that you're gonna want to put a pin in because it comes back later on in the season. Um, we get the introduction of Crimson Countess, who is like performing like singing. She's singing songs at the equivalent of Disney World here, which I thought was hilarious. Let me find in my notes here.
Speaking of Walking Dead, it's Andrea from Walking Dead.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no wonder she looks so familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Votland's wokeism, like all the shop and like vendor names, like Brave Maeve's Inclusion Kingdom, Brave Maeve's Veggie Tacos, BLM BLTs, the Woke Walk.
BLM BLTs is probably my favorite one.
Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful, but it is probably the best one. And then of course, Woke Walk, and then LGB Turkey Legs.
I missed that one.
But yeah, and Kamiko and Frenchie, they go there. They question her about what killed Soldier Boy. We're looking for this weapon during a like meet and greet or whatever, and they weren't able to get the information they needed before the next fan was coming. That kind of distracts Frenchie and Kamiko. Countess escapes. There's a chase, and then she just explodes some poor sap in the Homelander mascot costume.
That's right.
Just another. They just love blowing up heads in this show.
They do. They do. Although wasn't only the head left. I can't remember. I feel like his whole body blew up besides his head. I don't know.
That's true. That's true. There was just so many body parts blown up. It's hard to keep track. Yep. So that happens, and this is a turning point in Kamiko's character arc here. She kind of blames herself because as they're walking to find Crimson Countess, she sees the kids sitting on the like bench or whatever, eating cotton candy or whatever, just having a fun time at an amusement park, being kids, being children, something she never got to experience because she was basically kidnapped and turned into this super soldier in a terrorist group. So she's like looking at that, and then when Crimson Countess explodes the dude, like the camera goes back on these two kids. They're covered in blood and emotionally and mentally scarred, obviously. And she's like, "Oh no, look what my powers have done." And she just kind of slips into a funk where she, no longer, not that she wanted to be a soup anyways, but now she's like really wishing that she didn't have these powers. She sees Compound V as a burden, right? And it's made her a monster. Another one you're gonna want to stick a pin in. We find out about the CIA mission with Soldier Boy and the Payback Group. The whole gunpowder like NRA gun show is hilarious.
I love that.
Yeah. Man, they had some amazing like parodies of things in this season. For sure.
Gunpowder himself, they could have made him like. I mean, obviously he's like the Bucky Barnes, right?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be just the ward who, he was made fun of in the same way that Robin and Batman do the whole like homosexual jokes and everything. But it was nice to know that they made it to where he's like, it never happened. He never hit me and blah, blah, blah. Like he actually stuck up for him, but he was still, he just found his own ways to still be a piece of crap. But that whole that whole part was amazing. Him as a character was a lot of fun. I kind of wish he stuck around, and that's what's funny about the Boys comics. Also, is you know you meet certain characters, you're like, oh, this character's pretty good. I'm pretty excited, and he's gone. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's some characters in the future, are kind of like I can tell they're kind of putting a few of them in their back pocket, like Tech Knight. Tech Knight would be really really cool to see eventually. Um, and I forget their name of them, but their Spider-Man uh, is hilarious.
How long did the comic go?
I stopped reading all the way up. I mean, I don't totally know because I got a lot of them at once. I didn't get in from the beginning, but I read up through Billy Butcher's death, so I'm not really sure where too much it went after that. But it's you look at like how the Umbrella Academy happened, a few other Netflix shows happened. A lot of these directors are looking at these indie comic books. Like Walking Dead changed everything, right? You took an indie comic book, made a TV show out of it that blew up. So all of a sudden the eyes started going on the whole market, even in comic books, started raising a little bit because that people are paying attention to what could be the next big story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Boys ended up being one of them.
Yeah.
The Boys was actually part of early on. Their first run was actually, I think, in DC. DC had owned them during the first run, and then it went to whatever
like Vertigo or something.
I think it might have been under Vertigo. Yeah.
But that's kind of where you see all the DC parodies come into play because there's a ton. Mm-hmm. Gunpowder, pretty cool character. Butcher tries to basically strong arm, answers out of him by holding the Soldier Boy. Was it a report that Gunpowder filed about the harassment from Soldier Boy? And Gunpowder's like, yeah, I don't really care. So Butcher shoots up the temporary V, and they have a little scuffle out in the parking deck or whatever. And I believe this is the episode where Butcher kills him, right? This all happens in the same episode.
I think so. I think it finalizes with it, yeah.
Yeah, but Butcher, man, he gets this. Basically, he becomes Homelander. He's got the laser vision. He's got the invulnerability, super strength, all that stuff.
No flight yet, right?
Not that we're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the whole slow-mo bullet ricochet shot that Gunpowder does.
Yeah, he was kind of like a Punisher mixed with Bullseye, and they took really cool.
Yeah. We did out of that right before he dies. This is where we're informed of the mission with Mallory, which is pretty important. And we also, is this the first time we learned of the connection with Mother's Milk with MM and why he's against Soups, why he joined the Boys? I think this might be the first time that we learn that this is why.
Every time I hear Mother's Milk, I think of Homelander drinking milk.
I know, right? Yeah, that is gotta be one of the best weird quirks a character that I've seen has had. He's just has this weird milk fetish. It just makes me feel so gross. But yeah, we learned
especially when it's warm out.
Yeah, and
milk was a bad choice.
Yeah, I mean, just everything about Homelander's milk fetish makes me want to vomit. But yeah, we learn here about MM's situation, why he joined the Boys, what put him on this path, and it was all due to Soldier Boy, who killed his grandfather, I believe, and then eventually his father became obsessed with trying to find Soldier Boy and blah blah blah, and that led to his death as well. So MM's OCD tendencies, his obsession with bringing down Soups, all stems from Soldier Boy, we learn. And of course, the the big thing here, we see Homelander's psyche really start to break, and he goes like full on. I mean, basically, parody of Trump, right? And
Right.
we start to see the parodies of the alt right and all that stuff happening here. But yeah, in this birthday celebration thing, I mean, there's a lot of really gross stuff going on with Starlight and Homelander. But he goes completely off script. He a switch flips and he just loses it, and he basically is like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't need to apologize for being me. I'm literally the most powerful like human on this planet. uh like he that thing in his brain finally clicks where he's like, they need to like conform to me, like I don't need to conform to them. What are they going to do about it? Which is terrifying. Like absolutely terrifying. Yeah, and then the episode ends. So do you have any thoughts on this episode before we jump into 3?
No, I like it. It's good.
Yeah, so episode 3, Barbary Coast. Homelander's approval rating among rural white males skyrockets after his rant, subjecting him to less scrutiny from VOD executives. Homelander, now believing himself to be untouchable and threatening genocide, pressures Annie into reinstating the Deep. Annie is also forced to publicly pose as Homelander's new lover, fearing for the safety of her ex-boyfriend, Alex, aka Supersonic. She pleads with him not to join the Seven, however he does so to support her. Mallory reveals to the boys that Payback was deployed to assist the CIA against communists during the Cold War, but were ambushed during an attack. Yeah, during an attack by Russian soldiers that left Black Noir mutilated and Soldier Boy missing in action, supposedly killed by a Russian superweapon. Butcher is enraged at Mallory for not disclosing the weapon's existence earlier and lashes out at Ryan Butcher before storming out. He then has Frenchie contact the latter's former boss, Little Nina, to arrange transport to Russia. So what do you think about this episode?
I'm trying to. This was actually the episode where we get to see the battles, right? And
yeah, and the flashback scenes.
Flashback scenes. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was probably the highlight of the episode for me, honestly. It's. Yeah.
I love everything that Soldier Boy is like. Just the perfect parody of Captain America, is the complete opposite, the anti-Captain America. His like fake bravado voice is great.
Yeah. Much like Dean also, and keep talking about it.
Supernatural.
Thank you.
Got you, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we see Black Noir. He was part of the Payback Squad. And we see a couple other heroes. I think TNT, the Mind dude with I forget what his name is, and then there was the Bug, the winged fella,
right,
who was flying around.
Swatto. Yeah, Swatto. Yeah, and it is Mind Droid. But there's Payback. I'm trying to find I can't find it. But yeah, TNT wasn't actually there originally in the comics, but yeah, Tech Knight was originally part of them. Stormfront was originally part of them, and there's a character named Eagle the Archer, who's kind of like Hawkeye. And,
right. Is that the guy who was in season 2 at the Church of the Collective with the Deep?
Yes.
Dude, we haven't even brought up the Deep yet, but like I loved his whole story throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
He's like on the comeback. He's left the church. He's got a book out, like Lifetime movie about his escape. Just everything going on with
the commercial was the best. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, dude, it is too much. But yeah, the like you said, the big key here was we get to see the details of what happened on this mission. We also see that Homelander's basically turn to the alt-right is actually working in his favor. And again, that's getting that wheel spinning in his brain where he's like, oh, so I can stop hiding behind this facade that I put out there, and people love that. So like now he's getting the best of both worlds. He's getting to finally be the real him, but what he thought would never happen with him being himself, like people are actually supporting that, which again, as this is happening, I'm like, this is not good for anyone. Like
Yeah,
he's just
yeah.
going to kill the entire world.
You're starting to realize that Vought doesn't really know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
They don't really. They're trying to, just play everything, but just being more just realistic about the piece of crap he is. People love it.
Yeah. And we didn't mention yet, but Starlight is the host of a basically bachelor parody, trying to pick new members of the Seven. And again, this is another thing that causes a bit of a divide with Huey and Starlight. Alex, who is supersonic, was a past boyfriend of Starlight. He's a contestant on this show and making his way to the finals. And they're kind of like reconnecting as friends, and that makes Huey very insecure, because not only is he an ex of Starlight, but he is also a soup, and Huey's just a regular old doofus. So a lot going on with Huey here. Excuse me. Basically, Annie is like they want to pick you as the new member of the Seven, but like you don't understand. Homelander is a scumbag. Everyone sucks. Like you seem to be like a pure-hearted soup, like I was. Like, don't do this. It will lead to your death. And he's like, all right, yeah, okay. And then like the next scene, he's like, I did it. I'm part of the Seven, but I wanted to help you. So we think we got Supersonic on our side here. Moving on, the whole Frenchie and Russia stuff, that'll come up to play here in a little bit. But moving on to episode 4, titled Glorious 5-Year Plan, Butcher meets Nina and negotiates the boys' travel to Russia in exchange for assassinating one of Nina's targets. Upon learning of V-24, Huey asks Butcher to let him use it. Butcher refuses, but Huey secretly takes a dose and uses it to kill one of the Russian soldiers guarding a secret laboratory. Inside, Butcher discovers a still living soldier boy who releases an energy blast that renders Kamiko powerless and wounded before escaping. While escaping to stabilize Kamiko, Butcher theorizes the Russians experimented on Soldier Boy. During a press conference regarding Homelander's behavior, Newman betrays Edgar by accusing him of corruption. In return, Homelander provides Newman a sample of Compound V, which she injects into her daughter Zoe. Annie recruits Maeve and Alex to help her face Homelander. Alex later attempts to recruit A-Train after witnessing him being mistreated by Homelander in the Deep. However, Homelander confronts Annie with Alex's corpse, having killed him after learning of the planned coup from A-Train, and threatens to kill Huey unless Annie complies with his demands. So, yeah, Alex should have listened to Annie. Basically, yeah, that looked like a pretty painful death. His leg was like ripped off. His face was caved in.
Which one came first, right?
Yeah, it was not quick and painless. But yeah, another thing that we've kind of glossed over is A-Train's like rebranding.
So bad. The suit was so atrocious.
Yes. But he.
It's bad to begin with. Like, it just gets worse.
It's not good. But he's falling out of favor with Homelander because he's losing his speed. Because
his heart,
if he continues to run, his heart could basically explode at any time. So Homelander sees him as useless, and everyone sees A-Train as useless now. So he's trying to reinvent himself to appeal to the masses, and Alex sees this in a confrontation that Homelander and A-Train have. He sees this as an opportunity to maybe add another person to the team against Homelander, and it ends up biting him in the leg and face later on. Here, the assassination of Nina's target. Another one of those moments where I'm like, what is happening? Kimiko basically poses as a sex worker, goes into this fat Russian dude's room and basically kills him and his henchmen with an assorted array of sex toys.
I mean, assorted themes.
Yes. They are all themed after members of the Seven. Yeah.
Black Noir is the best.
Oh, God. But here, this actually is an important scene, though, because, again, the sex workers that are in the room already are terrified of Kimiko after she just murders everyone. So much so that one of them grabs a gun and tries to kill Kimiko out of fear. Which I forgot about all of her like rapid healing things. So when she gets shot in the head, because she loses her powers at the end of the episode. So when she gets shot in the head, I'm like, oh geez, no, Kimiko's dead. But yeah, she's not dead. I'm just stupid. She comes back to life and she's like, oh God, like I'm a monster. I'm terrifying. Like, look what these people who I just saved, like they see me as. So again, it's playing into that. Like, I really wish that I wasn't who I am, and who I am is because of the Compound V. We let's just get right to the most important part. We discover Soldier Boy. He's not dead. He's alive. And he is the weapon that they're looking for. This is a super important scene, obviously, because we get Soldier Boy. But Huey takes the temporary V, has the amazing teleporting powers.
Yeah.
I just love how like the whole naked thing just never goes away, and it's awkward in every, like, someone says something about it in every single scene that it happens in.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It makes you wonder, like if I saw that happen if I saw it happen, oh yeah, absolutely. But if I saw this happen to everybody, I'd be like, well, so what superpowers do I have? Oof, like, let's do it. Like, I just want to see. Like, what would I end up with if I took this? Right.
What would you want? Like, what would be your ideal superpower? Like, you can't just go like you can't go generic and be like, oh, Homelander or Superman, which pretty much has every power.
Well, you have to think of it this way. Compound V has a baseline. You get enhanced strength and enhanced durability, right? Everyone gets that. That's kind of like that's the baseline. Then, based on who you are, it kind of branches off into something unique, right? So, what would that unique property be? Man, it's a $1 million question, I suppose. I don't even know. As somebody who's into comic books, I've always been asked, like, what's your favorite superpower? I'm like, I don't know. Probably super speed, honestly.
That definitely wouldn't be mine.
It makes the most sense to me. But.
Yeah. I feel like yours would just the Compound V would just make you even more incredibly hairy.
You're saying what would I actually end up with?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like if you shot up, like what would your superpower be?
It would be a complete mishap. Absolutely.
I'm telling you, your hair would become like indestructible.
I'd become like
cover
Beast.
Your entire body.
Yeah. I'd become like Beast, and but I'd look more like an Ewok. Like a really tall Ewok.
He's like Cousin It over there.
Just like, I don't know, like I guess probably the early Universal Wolfman. look, like just I don't know. It wouldn't be a cool wolf man. It would just be just a wolf man. Every hair would probably look pubic. It would be a complete mishap. It would be a complete mishap. And it would just be.
We're gonna clip that one for sure.
I know my luck, man. It's like I roll dice. It's like a 1 and a 2. Yeah.
Man, I wonder what mine would be. That's the hard part when you have like no, glaring good personality traits. It's hard to determine what your superpower.
I remember when we were in Scarlet Thread, we were talking. I was talking to somebody. I think we were playing at the skate park or whatever. And I was talking to someone there about superheroes, and they were like, "What superpower do you have?" And I was like, "I don't know." And they were like, "Dude, I could see you scream. You would totally get Banshee superpowers if you were a superhero." Like I was like, oh, "I like it," And
yeah.
But it would be the pubic hair monster.
You would be the hairy version of Black Canary.
Hairy Canary.
Oh God! So I don't know how to do this by ourselves.
Get him, Harry.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. Let's see. Where do we leave off here? Oh, so yeah, Huey now has temporary superpowers. He actually could use the hair power here along with the teleporting power.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. So they discover Soldier Boy.
Oh, he wouldn't be naked anymore. That's right. It makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Just give him a little coverage. They dispatch the Russian forces protecting Soldier Boy. They free Soldier Boy, and of course, Soldier Boy just attacks because all he has been is tortured and held captive for who knows how many years. But we learn that his like nuclear blast or whatever it is removes Soup's powers. So Kimiko gets blasted through the wall, and you notice that she's not healing, and Frenchie's like, she's not healing. By the way, Frenchie,
bad time for you to lose your power, right?
Exactly. Frenchie, one of my favorite characters of the entire show. Love that guy. Yeah, but it's crazy. So he does that, and then casually just strolls out while they're all just like, what the heck just happened? Kimiko's dying. So those are kind of like the big takeaways there. In episode 5, The Last Time to Look on This World of Lies, Frenchie admits Kimiko to a hospital where she is overjoyed to find she has lost her powers. She and Frenchie bond and share a kiss, but Frenchie is later kidnapped by Nina. Huey reveals his V24 usage to a disappointed Annie. Maeve gives Butcher another batch of V24 before drinking and giving him the temporary V. She is later captured by Noir and Homelander. Ashley Barrett is named Vought's CEO after Edgar's departure. A-Train tells fellow Soup Blue Hawk to issue a public apology for excessive force against African Americans. But Blue Hawk flies into a violent rage during the event, wounding several bystanders, including A-Train's brother, Nathan. Upon his return to America, Soldier Boy inadvertently causes an explosion, alerting the boys. Huey, and Butcher learn from a former Vought executive, the Legend, that Soldier Boy is going after Crimson Countess before finding and incapacitating her first. Soldier Boy arrives, kills Countess as revenge for giving him up to the Russians. Butcher decides to partner with him, and Huey goes along despite Annie's protests.
So Blue Hawk, he was based actually on the boys' version of Wolverine. And the boys' version of Wolverine, it was named Groundhawk. Oh. And so he basically had like the Hawkman mask, that kind of made the wings were kind of like, where Wolverine's pieces go up. And but the funny thing about him was instead of like having claws that come out of his hands were actually just hammers. They were literally just hammers, and he would swing them, and that was the whole method of Blue Hawk.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
also, Soldier Boy, he didn't. It's from what I remember, he did not have obviously a power to remove the powers, and he was actually his spin in the comic book was that he was actually a coward. His number one, his like classic feature is him peeing himself in fear.
Hey, like same with my dog.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
that's his self-defense mechanism.
Right.
It's like no one will want to touch me if I'm covered in my own urine.
I ate a lot of vegetables. This will get you away from me. It's a.
He must have visited Brave Maeve's veggie taco stand.
Yeah, that name will never make me comfortable. But it's yeah. So again, some more examples of what they change from the comic that isn't that good in the comic.
Right.
They take weaknesses and make it strong storyline points.
Wasn't Soldier Boy also kind of like Batman in the sense that it was just a mantle? Like there were multiple Soldier Boys in the comic.
I think so. I don't. Maybe. I've only ever. You know what? There might be a comic panel where they show him throughout, but I'm pretty sure he was the same one that was in World War II. I don't know. That's I'm gonna look at that real quick here.
Yeah, you look that up. So, excuse me. I love the legend, who is what's his name? He's in Stranger Things. He was like the nice doctor guy that worked under Dr. Brenner.
Burke from Aliens.
Great actor. Love the guy. He's hilarious in The Boys in his little role here, but. I think it's funny because it's kind of like a parody of say like a Kevin Feige almost,
right? and Stan Lee, right?
Yeah. But yeah, dude, he has some amazing one-liners in the few episodes he's in. Excuse me. Yeah, so I also love in this episode the random like musical that busts out with Frenchie and Kimiko in the hospital. That was another one of those. That was a like much lesser version, but also like a what the heck is happening right now moment for me. It wasn't like someone crawling into a man's penis hole and then exploding his body, kind of like what's happening right now. It's like wow, this turned into a musical and it's kind of endearing. What's happening right now?
There was two previous Soldier Boys in the comics. So.
Oh, okay, sweet. I was right about something.
Yeah,
woohoo!
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we have like a tender, sweet moment here between Frenchie and Kimiko, and secretly, this is like my favorite story arc throughout the season. Just Frenchie and Kimiko's relationship and bond, and how they kind of both lift each other up. With Frenchie helping Kimiko deal with her perception of herself with and without the superpowers. Basically helping her understand that the V isn't, she's not a monster. The V doesn't make her a monster. She's, a good-hearted person, and she, with her superpowers, is helping save people.
Right.
And then you kind of get a similar parallel where when Nina totally breaks Frenchie down. This is it in this episode or the next episode, but where he's they tie him up, or they chain him up to the pole, and Nina is just tearing Frenchie apart.
I was thinking about that myself. Well, first of all, I like the Nina character. I think she's kind of a unique, like, it kind of brings like a crime boss into it a little bit. But I'm trying to remember if it is in this episode or it's one a tad bit later, because the kidnapping happens.
Oh no, I'm looking right here. It's in the next episode.
Okay.
Excuse me. But yeah, Frenchie and Kimiko, they share a kiss, which I thought was cute. But of course, Frenchie gets kidnapped right after it happens. So Kamiko goes into a spiral, like, "Oh my gosh, did I ruin what's happening here?" Huey tells Annie that he's taking the V, and she's not happy. Rightfully so, as we learn later on in the in the season. But I think that this is the episode where we get the scene of them riding in the van to or from somewhere, and he's kind of like head out the window, like arm out the window, and you can see his arm glowing, so he still has like the V in him, and he's just got that smirk, like blissful look on his face, like he is totally loving having superpowers.
Right. Everything he hated, he loves, right?
Yeah, which is interesting. Of course, Maeve gives Butcher the V in all kinds of the sense of that statement.
Right.
The whole Ashley getting promoted to CEO, that what a character, man. She's like ripping her hair out through the whole season. She's a complete psychopath. But much like Homelanders, there's kind of like a parallel here, because she has that self-realization too, where she just like asserts herself, like, what's anyone going to do? She's the CEO now, right?
Right.
So we have that whole thing going on. But back to Blue Hawk, like, we get introduced to him because he like curb stomped a black dude who was unarmed. Obviously, commentary on things that have been happening in the last year or so around the country. Maybe not the curb stomping, but the police brutality.
Over policing, basically.
Yeah. So A-Train, confronts Ashley about it. They get Blue Hawk to apologize, and during this, like we said, Blue Hawk gets mad, causes a scene, and in this scene, he ends up paralyzing A-Train's brother, which is tragic. Excuse me, I'm like drying up here. But the big thing is, Soldier Boy is now back in the States, and he gets triggered by some Russian pop song, which, by the way, as this was happening, like that same Russian pop song from when he was captured however many years ago, just randomly playing on like American radio stations. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it makes you wonder if he's just nuts and he heard music and it brought him to it. And then
right.
Yeah, I'm making excuses for that, obviously. But.
Yeah. He's back in the States looking for Crimson Countess. Butcher and Huey and the boys are kind of on the trail of realizing Soldier Boy is trying to get revenge on his old team, because they learn that it was all set up, right? No, wait, we don't learn that until the confrontation with Crimson Countess. But basically, Billy and Huey serve Crimson Countess up to Soldier Boy on a silver platter. They kidnap her, and what was leading up to be another very disturbing scene,
right?
Where she's basically also a cam girl on the side, and Seth Rogen is just there, as an executive producer and stuff of the show. He's got to make a cameo, of course. Yeah, so in the scene with Soldier Boy and Crimson Countess, she basically tells him, like, no, we set that up. We made that happen because we all hate you. You were a giant douche. And then he just destroys her. They strike up a deal, Huey and Soldier Boy. Basically, Huey being like, well, I'll help you find the rest of the payback because I hate superheroes. So if you want to kill superheroes, that's fine with me. But you just got to help me kill Homelander. And Soldier Boy's like, all right, whatever, let's do it. Any big takeaways for you from this episode?
No, that's pretty much it.
So next we come up on episode 6, which is the infamous Hirogasm episode, which was described by the creators of the show as an episode not suitable for any audience. Like, I believe that is a direct quote that was tweeted out by Kripke himself or something. But I gotta say, I mean, it's not that. Like I was expecting some like really,
Episode 1 was worse, man. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's some kind of gross stuff that happens in this episode, like
yeah, there are.
when Mother's Milk's trying to find a bathroom or something, and he just opens the wrong door.
That's the wrong milk. Yeah, uh, the the dude, like, he was like Iceman, couldn't create he made like a sex toy out of ice, and it just doesn't, it didn't make sense, and it
Yeah.
hurts. Like,
And of course, you got Love Sausage. He makes his return,
right.
first introduced in season 2.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the one guy I don't blame being there, right? Like, what else is
It
his
makes
power
sense,
for?
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so episode 6, titled Hirogasm, the Deep, and Homelander uncover security footage of Soldier Boy killing Countess, leading Noir to cut out his tracking chip and disappear. Nina kidnaps Kamiko and Frenchie's former partner, Cherie, and forces him to choose who to execute. But Kamiko frees herself and kills Nina's henchman. While Nina escapes, Newman privately reveals her powers to Annie and proposes an alliance, but Annie declines. Butcher and Huey help Soldier Boy track down his former teammates in exchange for his help in killing Homelander. All parties converge at the TNT Twins' residence in Montpelier, where they're hosting Hirogasm, an annual soup orgy. After the twins claim Noir sold him out to the Russians, Soldier Boy accidentally releases another energy blast, destroying the building and killing the twins and multiple guests. Soldier Boy and an empowered Butcher and Huey join forces to fight Homelander, who escapes before Soldier Boy can nullify his powers. A-Train uses his powers to kill Blue Hawk but collapses from heart failure. A disillusioned Annie films a live stream announcing her departure from the Seven and publicly condemning Vought, Soldier Boy, and Homelander. So, yeah, we don't need to talk about Hirogasm because it's pretty dumb. However, the whole deep part of Hirogasm, that part was really gross.
It was.
It's hard to get that image out of my head. Yes, this is the episode we were just talking about where Nina captures Kamiko and Frenchie, and this is where Frenchie's tied up to the pole, and just Nina is ripping him apart mentally and emotionally. So, what were you going to say about this whole scene here?
You know, it references back earlier on to where she says that he liked being tied up like a dog and do all these things. Like, you can see in a different situation, Frenchie liked that situation before, but it was probably more of a sexual thing. Obviously, this time it's more, I'm going to die, and the person I care about is going to die too. But I think having it lead up to her breaking free and doing what she was doing and him trying to cheer her on in the position he was in is honestly kind of what made it in a weird way. He was absolutely helpless, right? And how he was tied up and bound, and he's trying to tell her what to do. I have to tell you, the fight that she had with I guess the bigger guy, the whole thing, was one of my favorite fights in this whole show. Just because you could feel the different pains going through. Without her powers, I think some of those hits would have hurt her way worse than it did. As somebody who's had abdominal surgery and such, I was just like,
Oh yeah, he's just straight punching her right in
right,
the
right. And which, by the way, I had all staples going up my stomach when I was working at Best Buy after my surgery, and the guy who was working didn't realize it. He came up to me and jokingly punched me in the stomach, and I was just like, it was like the biggest, and then I fell to my knees on the side, and he's like, quit being, and he's like, oh shit, like,
you just killed me, man.
Yeah, it didn't feel good, and it was like it's kind of like getting kicked in the nuts, like the pressure, that you feel. But yeah. So anyway, I was feeling every punch that she was taking, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad for me, but
That just
yeah.
that made me you ever watch the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie?
I haven't, honestly.
You've never seen
I've
that
never
movie?
seen it.
Oh my
No.
gosh, it's so good. But the
And
way you're
hopefully Kelly's not
reacting.
watching it right now, because it was we have the conversation about it like I have all the time.
Oh, well, you should watch it because there is a scene you when you're recreating your stomach pains. There's a scene
It's a
where
dance.
there's a scene where a vampire gets staked in the heart, and as he's dying, he's just like And dude, it's like so funny, dude.
Yeah.
Because he just totally embellishes the whole thing. It's great. But that's all I can think of when you were doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this here though, this is kind of the turning point for Kamiko, because she realizes that she's the same person with or without the V, because she does the same thing without her superpowers that she would have done with her superpowers. Like, she's just going to help. She's just going to save the day, right? So she has that turning point, and we see that come to fruition a little in a little more depth in the coming episodes. But so they escape there, which is nice. Frenchie doesn't have to actually choose which of his lovers, so to speak, has to die, which is very nice. But it kind of sends Frenchie down a spiral. He goes back to getting high all the time, and he just kind of falls back to the Frenchie we first met in the series. But the big part of this episode happens at Hirogasm, when Soldier Boy learns that Noir is the one that sold him out, and Homelander shows up. So Soldier Boy kills TNT, and then we have a really cool fight between Soldier Boy, kinda, and Billy, and even Huey jumps in there.
Pops in.
Yeah, naked, which
Hirogasm.
Well, he basically like teabagged Homelander, maybe a little, kind of.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So they have this really cool fight. They have him like pinned down to the ground, and Soldier Boy is about to, unleash his nuclear blast, removing Homelander's powers so Billy could kill him finally. And Homelander escapes just in the nick of time, and Huey he finally saves Starlight here before the blast goes off, or whatever. Or I guess this was before the blast went off that killed TNT. And yeah, Starlight also loses her clothes during teleportation. I like the fact that they like paid attention to that detail, because it totally makes sense. Because like, why would your clothes go with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you would teleport out of them, and your clothes would be left where they were. It's the hell Star Trek.
Right. But yeah, again, we get some more confrontation between Huey and Starlight, with the whole superpower thing, with him saying that I want to save you for once, I want to be able to protect you, blah 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 blah. And then of course the episode ends with A-Train brutally murdering Blue Hawk by just dragging him, basically cement dragging him at super speed. But he collapses on the street, presumed to be dead, because he used his super speed, and he's not supposed to do that. So we get to episode 7, titled "Here Comes a Candle to light you to bed." Okay, that was weird. Here comes a candle to light you to bed. In flashbacks, Noir masterminded the ambush to trade Soldier Boy to the Russians on Edgar's behalf with the help of Payback, who resented Soldier Boy for his abusive behavior. In the present, A-Train is successfully revived after receiving a heart transplant from Blue Hawk. Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy see Payback member Mindstorm, who subdues Butcher, trapping him in memories of his abusive father and the suicide of his little brother Lenny. Huey convinces Mindstorm to free Butcher in exchange for his freedom. The Soldier Boy kills Mindstorm shortly afterward. While retrieving Compound V for Kamiko at Vought, Annie discovers that V24 will kill users after 3 to 5 doses. Homelander confronts Annie regarding her live stream, but she records him confessing to his crimes and posts it on social media. Frenchie injects Compound V into Kamiko, healing her injuries and restoring her powers. Annie informs Butcher of V24's risks, but Butcher chooses to withhold this information from Huey. Soldier Boy calls Homelander and reveals that he is his biological father. So we totally forgot to talk about the end of episode 6 with the Insta Live from Starlight, where she basically puts everything out in the open. She's like, Homelander's a scumbag. Vought, they're scumbags. Nobody cares about you. I quit. Obviously putting herself in the center of the bullseye of Homelander and Vought. But here in episode 7, I loved the stuff with Noir, and this is where the animated animal characters start, which was another one of those, just like the musical scene. I'm just like, in the best way possible.
Every character was so
happening?
Great. Yeah, every character was so great.
Yeah, like, what did you think about that whole dive into Noir's past and getting to see? We got to see him in the season without his mask on. We got to hear him talk,
right?
And we got the explanation for why he no longer talks and why he never takes his mask off.
Yeah, you know, I don't, they're obviously going a really different direction than in the comics. You know, in the comics, Noir was actually a clone of Homelander, and it was revealed later. As soon as they showed him with a mask on, I'm like, oh, they're gonna try to dupe us, making us think it's him, right? And then throw the clone in later. Well, obviously it's the same one because he's carrying that trauma with him the whole time. It's the same Black Noir because he has the same built-in trauma. But yeah, I thought that the scene itself was, I mean, it was definitely a different mix into the entire theme of any episode you've seen. So I think if anyone's going to go down that rabbit hole, it was him. It's a twist because he was super serious, quiet, you know, super really powerful, but just you would never expect him to have or deal with trauma in that way. So
right.
It was cool.
Yeah, and I also liked the way that they revealed like what actually happened to him, because in the earlier flashback scene when Mallory is kind of like blown up basically and like knocked unconscious, as she comes to and she's like walking through the wreckage of the fight, you see Noir there with his like entire face burned and like a huge gash in his skull, and you're like, holy crap, that's crazy. Like, what happened? You didn't see what happened until this episode in the flashback, and you see like, you know, it was Soldier Boy holding his face on the burning Jeep, and like Soldier Boy smashing his shield into the top of Noir's head. Like, everything that happened to Noir was Soldier Boy, and it's just like, wow, Soldier Boy's giant piece of trash. But yeah, the animated thing and the way he dealt with that trauma was really cool to see, and a really unique spin that I did not see coming.
Right.
The other spin that I thought was kind of funny was the A-Train receiving Blue Hawk's heart.
Right. And he's like, no.
Yeah, just a way for Ashley and Vought to just, you know, remind A-Train, you know, who's really in control of what's going on. What did you think about the Mindstorm scene and the Billy Butcher nightmare sequence? Like, did that kind of change any feelings or thoughts you have of Billy as a person?
You know, I mean, not really. It was good to learn how he becomes so jaded in a lot of different ways. Like it's, you know, you always it's a Green Lantern quote that always sticks out to me. But it's the you know, you'll never really understand the consequences of your actions, but it's not an excuse to do nothing, right? It's you just you have to take action, and you can't understand what those consequences are going to be till after you take action. But that doesn't mean you just sit there and do nothing. That's literally it. And his consequences are pretty severe, but he's still just, you know, firing at the hip as he goes through life. He knows
Yeah,
no matter what he did, there was something that was going to happen. It was probably never going to end well, but you have to have that vision and get there, no matter how you got to get there. So
yeah, and it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know if they intended this, but like, it kind of makes you think about those, you know, generational curses, right?
mm-hmm.
Those things that get passed down,
Right,
those
abuse and such. Yeah.
unfortunate, you know, traits or tendencies that are toxic in nature. I hate using that word, but that's the only word I can think of. Uh, that that are really just detrimental to you and the people around you, or a person and the people around them. Um, and you see that perfectly shown here, right? Like Butcher is everything that his father was, right? And his
Right.
father was an abusive scumbag, and he had the chance to like break that generational curse with Huey, right? But he
Right.
only like kind of does, but doesn't really, you know. Instead of he had the chance, right? Starlight tells him what happens with temporary V. He could have right there just been like, Huey, you got to stop doing this. This is going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've already taken so many doses. Like, your brain's oozing out your ears. Like, you got to stop because you're going to die. Instead, he punches him in the face, locks him in the gas station bathroom so he can't take the V, never tells him anything about the dangers of what's going on. And at the, you know, the end of episode 8 or whatever, or maybe it's the end of this episode or whatever, he's like, yeah, we're just going to go kill Homelander. Let's finish the job. When he could have been like, dude, like, you got to stop because you're going to die.
Right.
Um,
Which is
so
funny. You think of Kimiko. If she was like, let's just say she never had her powers, she was just temporarily taking it, her brain would heal every time. So could she just keep dosing up and be fine? You know?
that is a very interesting question. Man, it's a great question. Uh, but yeah, so let's finish up this episode here. Um, that the whole nightmare sequence was very tragic, and I really
Mm-hmm.
did feel for Billy. But then, like you were saying, by the end of the episode, I'm just like, well, you did nothing to correct
Right.
the course, right? So I kind of don't really feel bad for you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Cool powers though, Mindstorm
Yes.
has.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be brutal. Definitely somebody you'd want on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Annie, you know, sneaks into Vought to get Compound V for Kamiko so she can regain her powers. Like we said, she sees the notes on the desk revealing the side effects of the temporary V, which obviously are not good. Turns your brain into Swiss cheese and kills you. Um, After that, I mean, that's pretty much it, except for the big spin here at the end of the episode where uh, Soldier Boy learns that he's Homelander's father. And on top of learning that piece of news, he decides to call Homelander and tell him the news, which Homelander loves, right? He finally knows who his dad is. And his dad is like was considered the greatest superhero before Homelander came around. Um, the twist is Soldier Boy is informed that Homelander was created to replace Soldier Boy, to be stronger, to be better. Um, so, you know, you have that duality happening in Soldier Boy where he's like, oh, wow, I have a kid and he's a soup and like, I can go meet him. But also, he was made to completely replace me, and I'm like a vain scumbag, so that kind of doesn't
Right.
sit well with me. So what did you think about the reveal? Like you said, does that happen in the comic at
No,
all?
no, not at all. No, I mean, unless it's way later from when I was reading, but I'm gonna say no, especially knowing it's that was a legacy, other Soldier Boys, right? But I wasn't a fan of that twist, honestly. I don't
No.
think it was totally necessary. Connected it in a way, it just really you need to connect it, and I guess they probably thought of it because of Homelander's son. Like let's create a full legacy, generational legacy here. Um, but it wasn't good. It wasn't bad, I suppose, but I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Yeah. That legacy thing does make a lot of sense,
Yeah,
though, because now you have the 3 generations there.
right.
So moving on to episode 8, the finale here, the instant white hot wild. Homelander finds and convinces Ryan to return to him, unwilling to harm Huey further. Butcher leaves him and heads to New York with Soldier Boy. Huey meets with Annie to apologize for his mistakes. Maeve escapes Vought's custody and meets with Huey, Annie, and MM. Homelander kills Noir for withholding the knowledge of him being Soldier Boy's son. Butcher and Soldier Boy meet with the boys, Annie and Maeve, and trap all but Maeve in a safe before leaving with her and Soldier Boy to kill Homelander. Homelander begs Soldier Boy to accept him, though Soldier Boy attacks him. When Ryan attempts to save Homelander, Soldier Boy attacks him too, causing Butcher, Maeve, and the arriving boys to turn against him. Soldier Boy attempts to fire another blast, but Maeve tackles him out of the building while Homelander escapes with Ryan. Afterwards, the public mourns Maeve's apparent sacrifice, unaware she's alive but depowered. Butcher is in critical condition due to his usage of V24. Annie joins the boys. Soldier Boy is in custody. Newman begins running for vice president after the Deep murders her predecessor, and Homelander and Ryan attend a rally for the former. So, a lot happened here in the finale. Key points here is the whole battle, right, between Butcher, Soldier Boy, and Homelander, and then like everyone against Soldier Boy.
Yeah, yeah. This it brings it all to a head, and also I don't want to keep making fun of Starlight, but you think she can do something like super powerful that it just kind of doesn't end up being that
She
powerful.
just like knocks him over.
Like again, it's yeah. But I was pretty excited for it. I thought it was kind of cool actually how Huey turned up the lights, right?
Yeah.
He was like charging her up.
Yeah, because here Annie tells him about the side effects, right? So like he has
Yes.
the vial in hand as he's in the production room or whatever,
Right.
and he sees the fight happening, and he like pulls out the vial, and he's like really thinking about taking it, right? And then he's like, "Oh wait, Starlight, she just needs energy. I'm in this production room full of switches for energy."
What do you know?
Like, yeah, how convenient. But yeah, he decides to not take the V, and juices up Annie, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and Soldier Boys. I mean, it's I'll let you go here, but like into the order you want to go. But it's just amazing how the different fights running in parallel, and it feels like everybody versus everybody a little bit.
Yeah, it's just like a fortnight of superheroes happening.
Right. Yeah.
I love Maeve's turn to pretty much like hero.
Right.
And her fight with Homelander was just super cool, and it was so brutal as Homelander's like gouging her one eye out, and like she's fighting. Yeah, it was just so great. Because they've alluded to Maeve being pretty powerful, right, and kind of not being on the same level as Homelander, but like there not being much of a difference.
Much like Wonder Woman and Superman, right?
Yeah,
They go toe to
yeah,
toe, but
yeah,
there's
exactly.
one clear stronger one. Yeah,
And it was just cool to like finally see them duke it out, right?
right.
Um, but her her reluctant call to heroism there right before Soldier Boy explodes. She's like, "Ah, are you kidding me? I got to do this." Um, I loved the turn. I thought it was really cool, and I also thought it was pretty cool. But also, it didn't really make sense how she survived jumping out of like a 300-story tower without her powers. But
This is kind of the whole. They should have been killing people off, but they're not killing people off type of thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
she should be dead, and it kind of. We talked about it on Stranger Things. It kind of robs the moment of the sacrifice, or it robs the moment of the ooh and the ah, right?
hmm
Um, there, there needed to be a big death, and that was going to be it. And she has a similar comic book death. She goes out in a big way in the comic books, not in the same way, but it's took it away.
yeah, yeah.
She gets to
But
live happily ever after. That's not how this works.
right, yeah, exactly. Not in this universe. Um, but yeah, basically, through the like 8 people fighting Soldier Boy, they're finally able to somewhat subdue him enough for Frenchie's you know nerve agent concoction to
Right.
finally be administered or whatever, and they knock Soldier Boy out. Uh, and during all this, like Homelander's just like, all right, son, let's get out of here. And like no one tries to stop him. They just like let him literally walk out of the room. He doesn't even like fly away. He's just like, I'm gonna casually stroll out the door. I know
Yeah,
there's like 8 of
they were
you.
beyond fighting. They were just like, okay, I think it was. It shows the resolve of everybody. Everyone felt like enough had happened,
Yeah.
and
Well, and I
nothing more
think
to say.
like at that point they're like, well, you know, 2 of us plus Soldier Boy couldn't take down Homelander, and
Right.
now we don't have Soldier Boy. So
Mm-hmm.
like, what are we gonna really be able to do?
Right.
Though was it Maeve who like stabs him with rebar in his ear hole? That was kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a you know when it ends, you're like, well, it's I'm said homeboy.
A Train wasn't in this scene, dude.
Yeah. Right. Homelander obviously is the victor of this fight.
Yeah, yeah. Because like he finally has won the
He's got his
approval of
son.
Ryan,
But yeah, he's got his
which is
son. He's alive,
yeah,
and Soldier Boy's not in the picture anymore, or the room definitely.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah, he definitely won.
Um, yeah, that whole thing with Ryan, was largely due to Butcher's, scumbagginess, of
Right.
course. Or he kind of like purposely pushes Ryan away. Um, really hated to see that though, like because Ryan's totally on Team Homelander now, which is a big bummer. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna
Right.
do? We see at the end here, of course, Butcher collapses because he's been. Wow, I almost said something terrible. He's been really taking the temporary V uh, way too much. He's in the hospital. He's told he basically has like 12 months to live. Um, Annie, aka Starlight, she trashes her soup outfit. She discards her persona as Starlight, and she becomes a member of the boys. Um, MM's there, Frenchie's there, Kamiko, Huey, Annie, and of course Butcher. Um, and then we end with Homelander at this rally with Ryan, introducing Ryan as he like flies down from the sky himself.
Brightburn.
Exactly. Which, by the way, I have a Brightburn pop back there. It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Did you watch
Great.
it? You saw the movie? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
The
movie.
jaw scene really got me.
It's just, man, that's the steering. Yeah, it's just so much. um, Yeah, I think it's one of those sleeper movies often overlooked. It's very good.
Right.
People need to watch it. Um, but yeah, we're at this pro Homelander rally, right? Pretty much. And we have the one Starlight supporter there who like throws something, it hits Ryan, and Homelander just lasers his face off, and he's just kind of like, oh crap.
Did I do that?
Ryan's just kind of like looking, and of all people, MM's ex-wife's husband is at the rally, and he's just like, he's loving it. He's loving the laser facing
I love how
that's
he's like,
going on.
yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's awesome. He starts cheering. All the supporters start cheering. Homelander's like, I can literally do whatever I want. Like, people still love me. Like, terrifying, by the way. And the part that is even more disturbing is Ryan, like, the camera slowly zooms in on his face, and he just gets a little smirk. Like, he approves. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm. And this is why I think they're kind of ditching the clone story in the in the comic book, and he just has a son instead of a clone, right? Next best thing, or better thing, and which that could lead to the scene that I talked about, but we'll see.
Nice, yeah. And then the other kind of reveal here is Newman being now Singer's running mate and VP.
Right.
So she's making her
way
way up.
Seinfeld Newman when I was like, what?
Right. So yeah, that's where we end there. So before we get into, well, no, we'll just go through this list. I have a few parodies that we didn't really touch on. Of course, the first episode we have the Dawn of the Seven movie, which clearly spoof of Dawn of Justice, right? Justice League parody. The whole Church of the Collective, very much giving off some crazy Scientology vibes, and the Deep's kind of like the Leah Remini of this universe,
right? Breaking free.
Yeah. A-Train's Turbo Rush commercial, hilarious parody of Kendall Jenner's Pepsi commercial, like almost scene for scene of the commercial. And then of course the Deep's Imagine video, which is the parody of the infamous Gal Gadot and other celeb Imagine video during COVID when
that was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, it's so great. I love the parodies. They're so good. So we already touched on Billy having 12 months to live, Starlight quitting the Seven, joins the boys. So do you think we'll see any more repercussions of the whole Soldier Boy being Homelander's father, story arc that we got here?
I think it'd be an underlying tone as things go on, but Soldier Boy's probably not dead, obviously.
Yeah, well, we see him. He's kind of like in the glass containment tube, like still like masked up. They're pumping the agent in with Ashley and I believe the Deep kind of just standing there, like, oh, okay, well.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's again. I think it'd just be an underlying tone as to is the world. I think the bigger question is, will the world find out? Like, will Homelander use that as like a propaganda thing? Like, I'm the son of Soldier Boy, the greatest superhero ever. Will he embrace that in a humble way, even though and put the spin on it for the media? Who knows?
Right.
But, I think that's it's more so like that, and maybe his son will become like a. He could use that, and that could be Ryan's persona. Maybe Ryan's the second Soldier Boy in this world, right?
Oh, there you go. I like it. Yeah, like what do you think? What do you think is going to happen with Ryan and this shift of him now, like almost idolizing Homelander and hating Butcher? So like
it's a wave, right? He loved him at first, and he's fearful of him, and hates him. Now he loves him again, and that'll probably end in, he'll probably see Homelander snap, kill a bunch of people, like Edgar. Edgar will probably be the form of the president in the comic book, and he'll probably kill the whole board of Vought and do all these different things, or maybe he'll kill the president. Who knows? And I think that's going to end up with Ryan killing Homelander. We'll see. Instead of Homelander's clone
Ooh.
killing him and revealing that, it's going to be Ryan that killed him.
That would be very interesting. Yeah, I really hope that Ryan has another turn and comes back to the light side, please. Speaking of, you brought up the president there, and we have Victoria Newman now on the ticket as VP.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to help Starlight at first. Then she ended up helping Homelander to achieve this goal of reaching, VP level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do you think she really sits in this thing? She's still alive. She's still out there. She's still got a pretty powerful superpower. Like, she will definitely turn the tide one way or the other. Do you think?
She's the biggest wild card, I would say. There's no definitive side or what she's trying to do. Obviously, they know what she's capable of, but yeah, I don't. That's a difficult one. I think she's too. You have to pull a trigger with her quick to have her do something. She's too powerful to not be in full control or live. She's got to. Something's got to happen with her. She probably won't make it out of next season. We'll see though.
Yeah.
Or again, she could become the president after, right?
Yeah. Sure.
After the untimely death.
That is true. We also
maybe she kills Homelander in defense of the president. I don't know.
Ooh, that would be interesting. We touched on this, but Maeve is of course alive. Leaves with her
Patch.
ex now present girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. Which also, interestingly enough, Ashley and I think the Deep also, because they're basically never seen together now. They see the security footage of Maeve being picked up by MM and still being alive, and they delete it, which I thought was interesting. Because they could have just told Homelander, but they didn't. What are your thoughts on the status of Maeve? She's powerless. Is this her send off? Is she going to be back? Is she going to pull Kamiko, get her powers back? Because you said she dies in the comic, yeah?
Yeah. She kind of goes out in a blaze of glory, and that's kind of where I kind of reference it to that. I mean, at least, I think she died in that scene. And it's the thing. Most of these people are dead in the comics. they're trying to formulate a story around these people. But Huey's alive in the comics. I think it'll either be found out, either that was just the end of the storyline, the tape was erased and everyone lives happily ever after for her. Because I guess that is even a spin in this whole show, right? Nobody ever gets to live happily ever after, and Maeve might, her left eye won't, but maybe she gets to live happily ever after, and or Homelander finds out that she deleted the tape and kills her. Who knows? Either one of those, there's going to be. It's not going to be a whole story. It's just somebody's either going to live happily ever after, or someone's going to die because of it. Welcome to the boys.
Yes, and my last little note here is with Homelander now realizing that he can basically do whatever he wants, and he'll still have supporters. What does that mean for everyone else? What are we going to see transpire here in season 4 with Homelander?
I'm sure you'll see you'll probably see some very heavy signals of the type of civil war, perhaps, because he killed the guy on TV, right? And everyone's cheering for him. Like that was on TV,
That's a
or was
good
it just at a
question.
rally? I can't. So
I don't recall either way. It probably would have been
yeah,
on TV. I would think everything's televised these days, right?
yeah, yeah. I hope they don't keep the front up that like every Trump supporter loves Homelander,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
I hope they don't keep that going.
they
Um,
will.
they will. I know they will. They absolutely will. But
Yeah.
along with that, though, the problem I have with that is they're really a lot of things are happening in the world right now. They're really touching on this stuff, right? And it's you can even look at some of the comments of what happens in the show, and you see people arguing in the comments. It's it's sad, really. The people in the comments who like take these things to heart and think, oh, all Trump supporters are like that, or all liberals are like this, and everyone's stupid. Like the
Well,
boys,
everyone is stupid though.
everyone is stupid. That is actually true.
Yeah.
That was kind of uh, my point coming through, I guess. But um, the boys makes fun of everybody, and if you think they're not making fun of you, then you're just arrogant,
Yeah.
and you're not comprehending what's happening, right? They make fun of every extreme. They make fun of everything leading up to those extremes. Um, it's even when they make fun of the right wing media, they're making fun of media in general. Like they might use one as an example, but the comments that support the point is making fun of all forms of media together. And
Mhm.
it's you have to peel back the onion a little bit. But I mean, let's be honest. Like, do you really think that what if I was writing this and I wanted like one type of person to be for Homelander, it's perfect. Homelander, he's meant to represent almost he's blonde haired, blue eyed, right? He's kind of got that. He's a perfect specimen. He's like it's very Aryan, right? So you want to
That's getting clipped, by the way, totally out of context.
oh yeah, and boy does he work out. Uh,
That
you
jawline,
yeah, yeah, but you have to take that specific hilarious, not even hilarious, I guess, like stereotype and aim it towards that and use that as a plot point. I get it. It's just, hopefully they don't go too far with it. They will.
Yeah.
They will. They absolutely will.
Your hopes will fall upon deaf ears.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta say, Homelander's performance and character arc throughout the season is fantastic.
Right.
Like that dude crushed every scene that he's in. He is so good at making me feel gross.
Comfortable.
Yes. I
You heard about the
gotta.
rumors of him as Dracula in the MCU, right?
Yes, I
It's
did.
exciting. It's very exciting.
Um,
MCU's come to the point like okay, well, where the f was Dracula during the whole thing? Like that's why you don't do Thanos as early as you did, right? Like it's
Right.
It's a whole other episode then.
Yes. His name's Anthony Starr, by the way.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just like looking at his page here on IMDb. This guy needs to be in more things.
I think he will be. I was talking about it. The Maeve actress was really good too. So.
Yes, she also. Honestly, like it's a pretty good cast. Like, I mean, Carl Urban.
I know.
He crushes everything.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid was really good. Excuse me. Mother's Milk, played by Laz Alonso. I thought he was really good, especially in this season. Seeing his, kind of breakdown. Chance Crawford as the Deep, of course. Like, the Deep is one of my favorite characters. Frenchie, played by Tomer Capone, amazing. As much as I dislike Ashley Barrett, the actress that plays her does a phenomenal job of playing somebody who is totally unhinged. That is Colby Menifee. But I'm trying to find Maeve's. Where's Maeve on here? But yeah, stellar cast.
Yeah, it's funny. Billy Butcher, I forget his name, actual real name, but the first time I was like, oh, I like this actor a lot. It was actually
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, thank you.
Yeah.
It was Eomer and
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Dude, he's been in like everything. By the way, Maeve is played by Dominique McElliott. Elliott? I don't know. She's pretty great. She was in House of Cards apparently. But yeah, let's pull up old Carl Urban, which by the way has an amazing picture. Like his profile picture on IMDb is so great. He's
Is
like a cowboy holding a rifle on his hip. Like, come on now. But yes, he was. He's an uncredited stormtrooper in episode 7.
I believe
9, episode 9, not episode 7. Episode 9, of course. He was
from New Zealand. Carl Urban.
Yeah. He was Scourge in Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm. The Executioner.
He was Judge Dredd in Judge Dredd. Great movie. Yeah, he's been in a lot of awesome things. And he just
that explains why he's in Lord of the Rings. He's from New Zealand, right?
Yeah, dude. He just fantastic actor. Love him. Love the guy. Were there, before we wrap up here, were there any like storylines through the season that you were particularly fond of, or maybe any performances or anything that like really stood out to you this season?
In Carl Urban, no matter what season it is, he's just his demeanor and what he does and how he handles every situation is just, it's amazing. It actually, it's a rinse and repeat, but in all the different scenarios that he keeps the same demeanor and the jadedness, it carries that character's story on so well. I'm going to be sad when they finally kill him off, but the Frenchie storyline, I'm on board with you on that. That was,
yeah, dude, that was so good.
It was really good. It felt like just a dark TV show on its own, like a storyline with that. I would probably say Soldier Boy's introduction was really amazing. We didn't touch on it, but when he first walks out into the room with Crimson Countess when she's tied up and he walks out of the shadow, it's really reminiscent of Captain America's return in the Infinity War, right? He walks out in the subway from the shadows with the darkened star, and he's got the beard, and he's he's ready to fight. It was his
former lover turned cam girl,
right? Yeah, so it was very parallel of that, and they did a lot of things right this season, and it's not my favorite superhero show. It's keeping me interested, and I'm enjoying it, and we'll see where they go.
Yeah, I could talk hours just about Carl Urban and his portrayal of Billy Butcher.
One of the best scenes still this whole show is Billy Butcher versus Translucent. That is still it's probably the best scene in this whole show.
Yeah. There's just something about how he delivers his lines and just the just drenched in sarcasm, and like he's just so quippy with all of his responses. It's just anytime he talks, I have to I'm glued to the TV or monitor or whatever. Like I have to hear every word he says because it's often hysterical. But another his facial expressions, he just looks like a lunatic. I love it.
His hair is all over the place. He's got he sells the character in a manner, and the best part about him is he stands up to Homelander with or without Compound V in the same exact manner.
Yeah,
it shows you how unhinged he is.
Oh yeah, he does not care, which I love. Man, Yeah,
when you have
great
nothing
show.
to
I gotta
lose. It's scary, right?
right, yeah. Um, this continues the trend of like that Stranger Things started for me. Season
Mhm.
4, much better than I was expecting. Like I said in the Stranger Things episodes, I wasn't necessarily super excited or anticipating the new season, but once I started watching it, I was blown away and couldn't stop watching it. I kind of
Right.
felt like that about season 3 here of The Boys. I love the show, so I was excited there was a new season.
Hmm.
But nothing was like, you know, it wasn't clearly at the top of my watch list because
Yeah.
we're doing this episode like a month after it ended. Um, but again, once I started, I watched the season in 2 days. Like once it started, I couldn't stop.
Right.
And I was very impressed. And I think this is a pretty solid entry into the series so far. Really looking forward to what happens in season 4. I don't think there's any like hard dates about when season 4 might release or anything. I don't know if I've heard of anything. I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't. I was thinking they normally come out on Thursday. I've been watching them every Friday, but they come out on every Thursday.
That's a good question.
I
Not
can't
sure.
remember because I always joke about it, but I think we should maybe if they come out at next, if they're doing Thursdays, we should watch that show the day of, and then do maybe an episode that night based, almost like a soft immediate companion series with it.
Yeah, I always thought it'd be fun to do a watch party of anything, but
I
I don't
was I
know
was
about
thinking
the
about that with the Lord of the Rings, but I think we're all gonna be like, this sucks. Like it's gonna be a trash party. We're just gonna make
yeah,
fun of it. Um,
which also could be fun.
I
Just riff tracks the whole thing.
I know we've always talked about doing other video game companion things, and maybe we should just all install Lord of the Rings online and just run around and kill helpless
Try,
animals with
try to
sticks.
recreate the show in the game, but make
Yeah,
it the good version.
yeah.
Um,
Also,
yeah.
it's kind of funny we talk about Anthony Starr's Dracula. I got my whiskey glasses of Dracula.
Oh wow! Look at
Yeah.
that. What are the odds?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. My parting words to you though tonight, Jordan, would be browse through Prime. They have some good originals. They don't
Yeah.
have the the amount of shows on Prime. I mean, there's a ton of shows, but I mean, the amount of quality shows are not quite as many as you'd see on an HBO or Netflix. But they do have some good ones. Obviously, The Boys. I just watched a show called Outer Range, which was pretty interesting. It was like Yellowstone meets
Very sick.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Of
When you talk
course,
about Wheel of Time earlier, I'm like we say we did it every New Year's Eve. We're like the Wheel of Time just got renewed for another year. Happy New Year.
Wheel of Time is on Prime, though.
Yeah.
You probably would hate it. I thought it was mediocre, which means you definitely would have hated it. But like the Terminal List new show with Chris Pratt looks interesting. I might check that out. Carnival Row is actually a pretty good like fantasy steampunk type
Okay.
show. Has stars Cara Delevingne and Orlando Bloom. It was very good. There's only one season, and it came out like maybe 2 years ago or something. I think this is kind of one of those shows that uh, released just prior to COVID, and then COVID happened, so like they didn't do anything after the first season. But I think it's one of the shows that they had big plans for, so I would expect more seasons to come eventually. But yeah, check out Prime. They do have some good stuff. You just gotta do a little searching. But that wraps up the show tonight. We've recapped and reacted to season 3 of The Boys. Better late than never. Um, got anything you want to plug before we jump out of here, Jordan?
No. There'll be some things in the future though.
There always is with you.
Mm-hmm.
There always is. You were saying the other day you're playing multiverses.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun. A lot
Yeah.
of fun. It's as everyone knows me, the T-shirt and everything. I'm a Warner Brothers junkie. I love Looney Tunes. I love anything DC. And this literally just merges all Warner Brothers properties together into It's their own version of Smash Brothers.
Mhm.
Nickelodeon has one, but this one is very high quality, and
Nice.
I recommend it. I think it's just open beta, just happened, just launched, and
Yeah, I see.
they added LeBron.
I see a few friends in Steam and Discord have been playing. I'm not a big Smash guy, so I'm not even gonna bother trying because I hate that game.
Mhm.
But it is good to hear that there is a quality Smash clone out there because there have been many attempts.
Right.
None of them have seemed to really stuck. But yeah, that's it. That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining me. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thanks for
It's
having me.
always a fun time. I think this time we both cried laughing a little bit.
Yeah,
It wasn't just one of us.
Fairy Canary.
Oh, geez. Check out our Patreon, guys. Patreon.com/showboyspodcast. We have a website right here, showboysmedia.com. We have reviews, articles, event coverage over there. You can find all of our past episodes, video format and audio. Subscribe here on YouTube. Let us know what you guys thought about season 3 in the comments below. Um, and yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week for our 100th episode, which feels really weird.
Uh,
We might do something special. I don't know. Uh, Tune in and find out, I guess. We'll see you around. Good night. Dude, I don't even know what to do with all this extra time now. Our last several episodes have been over 3 hours long. And now it's like only 11:19. I feel like I could, I don't know, go out for a night on the town or something.
I was actually thinking when you're talking about the 100 thing, please don't review CW's The 100 on your 100th episode. Might be a good background logo.